A simple $2 solution exists to make aged, splintered lumber look brand new without buying expensive replacements. Forget about thick coatings that peel or weak sprays that vanish quickly. This specific blend enters deep into the fiber, repairing the material from within. After one application on a crumbling deck, observers might assume you installed fresh timber. Once brushed onto an aging fence, the professional you almost hired loses a high-priced commission. Salvaged furniture that seemed destined for the dump suddenly gains a premium appearance. No intense scrubbing, heavy machinery, or specialized knowledge required. This recipe dates back to an era when master carpenters understood it instinctively. Experts shared these methods like guarded family secrets. Then the renovation industry realized something quite alarming. If property owners grasped the power of this mixture, their reliance on outside help would vanish permanently. A cheap brew that replaces an expensive service remained suppressed for a reason. They hid it not because it was ineffective, but because it outperformed their products. This remains the untold narrative of the wood maintenance mystery. Welcome to Kenzo Times. If these hidden records interest you, subscribe and click the alert. We reveal what big business keeps tucked away. Now let us examine the origin of this discovery. In 1860, a British visionary named Frederick Walton noticed a peculiar phenomenon within his workshop. A firm layer formed upon a container of oil left exposed overnight. That rubbery texture was tougher than finish and more versatile than lacquer. Walton understood the liquid was changing via atmospheric exposure to become a natural resin. He dedicated 3 years to refining this technique in a factory near London. By 1863, he had pioneered a durable floor covering composed primarily of flaxseed extract. Yet the history of this oil extends thousands of years beyond Victorian England. The flax plant serves as one of humanity's oldest crops, utilized in ancient Mesopotamia for both material and oil. Egyptian tombs feature textiles crafted from flax that remain preserved for millennia. Meanwhile, early Chinese artisans observed that pressing these seeds generated a golden elixir that permeated timber and hardened into a protective seal. This represents the earliest wood treatment ever documented, not synthetic polymers from a laboratory, nor chemical sealants from a plant. Just seed extract pressed by hand and rubbed into timber with rags. For generations across the globe, every cabinet builder and shipwright relied on this oil as their primary medium. Medieval constructors combined it with minerals to create a version that dried faster and tougher than raw versions. Cathedral portals in Germany treated with such oil centuries ago remain standing today. British sailors coated their vessels with it, and the wood survived salt water, harsh sunshine, and heavy naval fire. Then a massive shift occurred. In the mid-20th century, the petrochemical sector introduced synthetic resins. Polyurethane and chemical varnishes overwhelmed the marketplace. These items were faster to apply, glossier to view, and significantly more lucrative for corporations. Seed oil cost pennies per gallon, while manufactured sealants demanded high prices and required replacement every 2 years. The industry shifted not because new items functioned better. They shifted because those products created recurring demand while the classic recipe vanished from store shelves. Now, before moving forward, I must share something critical. This presentation offers only a glimpse of what the establishment masks from you. I spent months gathering every concealed technique into one master archive. Survival methods that elite squads utilize now restricted are included. Emergency dwellings that cost nothing yet surpassed high-end gear are detailed. Natural water purifiers that baffled engineers with their efficiency are explained. Botanical pest deterrents perfected by native tribes are featured. Food preservation styles that maintain freshness without power are revealed. Everything resides inside the complete Kenzo Times vault. The specialized Firecraft guide alone features 17 secrets that the outdoor lobby removed from public training. The tactical ration manual holds methods that kept soldiers alive when supply lines crumbled entirely. The complete off-grid blueprint covers hydration, shelter, energy, and nutrition in a single file. The emergency blackout guide instructs exactly how to prepare when the grid dies. 10 guides bundled together. No filler, only essential data. The link is in the description right below. But remain here as the science behind this. Wood formula is about to change how you view every board in your home. Here is what occurs at the microscopic scale when you apply this liquid to weathered surfaces. Linseed oil functions as a triglyceride with high concentrations of alpha-linolenic acid. That polyunsaturated fatty acid reacts with oxygen through a process researchers call autooxidation. When you massage the oil into the wood, it does not linger on the surface like paint or varnish. It sinks deep into the biological structure of the timber itself. Once inside, the fatty acids bond together, forming a flexible mesh that fills every void. The bonding process creates a novel structure within the wood, a natural resin that shifts with temperature while repelling water and resisting impact. A report in the Journal of Chemical Coatings verified that seed oil penetrates deeper than synthetic polymers. Polyurethane sits atop the grain like a plastic coating, and one tiny split allows moisture to invade. That is why synthetic decks crack, blister, and turn gray within 3 seasons. Seed oil functions differently because it merges with the wood. Now, incorporate white vinegar into the blend and something incredible happens. Vinegar acts as acetic acid, a potent solvent that slices through years of filth and oxidation without harming healthy fibers. As the vinegar dissolves the graying, the oil permeates the newly exposed surface and begins solidifying immediately. The third component acts as the catalyst that unlocks the entire mixture. Turpentine, a natural solvent derived from pine resin, thins the oil so it sinks twice as deep and cures twice as fast. Without this pine solvent, the oil pools and requires weeks to harden. With it, it soaks in within minutes and sets within hours. Total expense for these 3 items at any hardware merchant is under $2 per batch. A quart of boiled oil costs about $4. A gallon of vinegar costs under $3. A small container of pine solvent runs about $5 and lasts for seasons. Compare that to the price a professional demands for the same outcome. The national cost to restore a medium deck exceeds $900. Labor alone spans between $600 and $1,400 for work that takes mere days. A single piece of antique furniture commands high fees at a restoration shop. And what do most professionals use as the foundation for their work? Oil-based products derived from the same chemistry that existed since the Victorian era. The profit is not found in skill. The profit is your ignorance. If you reach this point, you possess more knowledge than 99% of homeowners. Subscribe and pass this to someone about to waste a fortune on a contractor, and remember, all the buried secrets reside inside the complete Kenzo Times vault. The link is in the description. Now, stay with me, because what follows is the part they really do not want you to hear. So, why is this formula not sold at every local shop? In America? Why does every contractor act as if it is non-existent? Because the wood care market generates nearly $2 billion annually in product sales alone. The broader home improvement sector in the United States hits $200 billion in yearly revenue. $200 billion, that is the scale of the machine that profits from your lack of awareness. 3 ingredients you can buy for pocket change. Deck maintenance alone costs families thousands per project. The industry advises you to refinish every 36 months. That is a massive sum over 2 decades for one structure behind your house. A structure you could maintain yourself for under $10 using a formula that predates modern television. Now multiply that by the millions of homes in America with wooden decks, fences, porches, and cabinets. The capital flowing from families to large corporations for basic maintenance is staggering. And it all relies on one tactic, keeping you convinced that you cannot perform the task yourself. But here is the mechanism that keeps this buried. You cannot patent seed oil because it is a natural resource used for millennia. You cannot patent vinegar because it is acetic acid, one of the oldest compounds known to mankind. You cannot patent pine solvent because it has been distilled from trees since the ancient Greeks. No proprietary molecule exists, no trade secret, no intellectual property to shield, and what cannot be patented cannot generate lucrative licensing fees. What cannot be licensed cannot create exclusive distribution, and what cannot be distributed exclusively cannot build a brand monopoly. The entire business model of the restoration sector relies on you believing that wood maintenance necessitates specialized, branded, expensive items with names you recognize from commercials. Items that contain the exact same active components that cost cents at the store, repackaged with a logo and a 400% markup. The wood care sector was valued at nearly $2 billion in recent years, dominated by industry giants. Their messaging is clear and effective. Do not attempt this yourself. Trust the experts. Buy our expensive container. But the active component in the majority of oil-based products is the same chemistry discovered in 1860. They sell you seed oil with additives and a label, charging you 20 times the base material cost. That is not ingenuity. That is a business strategy built on ensuring you never study basic chemistry. Think about what happens when a property owner searches online for how to fix damaged wood. The first results page is dominated by paid advertisements from product manufacturers and sponsored articles from big brands. The algorithm itself is influenced by marketing budgets, pushing the simple solution further down the results page. Meanwhile, every home improvement show features a segment where the host recommends the latest branded treatment. They never mention that the active chemistry in that pricey bottle costs less than 50 cents to replicate. The suppression is not a conspiracy in some dark boardroom. It is simply the invisible hand of a market that rewards complexity and punishes simplicity. When the solution is inexpensive, simple, and unpatentable, no company has an incentive to promote it. Thus, it vanishes from public awareness one generation at a time. The cycle continues because every year a new homeowner stares at a weathered deck and asks a search engine, "What does it cost to fix my deck?" The answer that returns is always a price tag, never a recipe with 3 ingredients. I must be transparent with you because this mixture is not magic and there are boundaries you should understand. Raw oil without metallic drying agents can take weeks to fully set in humid zones, which is why the recipe requires boiled linseed oil that contains catalysts to accelerate hardening to 48 hours. Seed oil can also yellow slightly over time, particularly on very light woods like maple. However, on darker woods like cedar, walnut, and oak, the warming effect enhances the grain beautifully, and one vital safety warning that most DIY channels ignore. Rags soaked with these oils can spontaneously ignite if left crumpled in a pile. In the 90s, a fire caused by improperly stored oily rags leveled a skyscraper and claimed lives. Always spread your cloths flat to dry outdoors or submerge them in water inside a sealed metal vessel before disposing. This is not optional. This is a life safety rule. Now here is exactly how to create and apply this solution. Step 1. Gather your 3 items from any hardware aisle. 1 part boiled linseed oil, the label must specify boiled. 1 part white distilled vinegar, and 1 part turpentine or pine spirit found in the painting section. Step 2. Combine equal amounts of all 3 into a glass container with a secure lid and shake vigorously for 30 seconds until the mixture emulsifies into a cloudy golden fluid. Step 3. Cleanse the wood surface with a stiff brush to eliminate loose debris, dust, and spiderwebs because you do not need to sand, strip, or pressure wash. Step 4. Dip a clean cotton rag into the fluid and apply it along the grain using firm, even strokes, working in sections 2 feet wide so the liquid does not dry before you spread it. Step 5. Allow the first layer to soak for 15 minutes, then wipe away any excess with a dry cloth. Step 6. Wait 24 hours and apply a second layer using the same process because the second coat deepens the tone and doubles the protective barrier inside the wood fibers. For a weathered deck, begin with the most damaged board so you can witness the transformation immediately. The gray oxidized layer will dissolve upon contact with the acid, and the golden oil will flood into the exposed grain within seconds. The before and after on a single board will convince you faster than anything I can say. Within 10 minutes, you will be treating every board because the result is that dramatic for indoor furniture. Apply with a soft cloth using gentle pressure in small circular motions. Antique pieces respond especially well because the oil rehydrates wood that has been desiccated for decades, bringing dining tables, cabinets, and dressers back to life with one application. For fences, use a wide brush or foam roller to cover large areas quickly because a fence that looked ready for the dump will look brand new by sunset. 1 batch in a quart jar covers approximately 40 square feet of surface area. For hardwood floors, apply in thin, even layers with a flat mop, working one area at a time and allowing 24 hours between coatings. The floor will develop a warm satin sheen that deepens with each layer. The same technique 19th century homeowners used to maintain their walnut and oak floors for generations. A contractor would charge you $600 or more for that same coverage on a single deck. A flooring company would quote thousands, turning a medium room into a high-priced invoice. You just completed the project for less than $2 in materials and 20 minutes of your time with no appointment, no long wait, and no strangers tracking debris through your house. And the result endures because the oil does not sit on the surface waiting to chip. It lives inside the wood and renews with each reapplication. A maintenance coat once a year takes 5 minutes per piece and keeps the grain hydrated for decades. Compare that to the contractor who wants to see you every 2 years at a massive cost per visit. This knowledge did not vanish because it stopped functioning. It vanished because it worked so well that an entire industry had to pretend it never existed. For 20 millennia, humans protected wood with oil from a seed and acid from fermented grain. No corporation, no brand name, no expensive gear, just chemistry that nature perfected long before any patent office opened its doors. Your grandparents knew this formula, or at least their predecessors did. It was written in script on index cards and tucked inside kitchen drawers. It was mixed in glass jars and workshops across every small town in America, and then one generation stopped passing it down because a television commercial told them there was a better way. There was no better way. There was simply a more profitable way. The contractors know this formula. The manufacturers definitely know it. The multi-billion-dollar restoration lobby prays every single day that you never learn what you just uncovered in this video. But now you know, and the formula is not complicated enough to forget. 3 ingredients, equal parts, 1 jar, 1 rag, 20 minutes. That gray deck you have been avoiding all summer could look brand new by this weekend. That fence your neighbor keeps suggesting you replace could be restored before dinner tonight. That antique table you inherited from your grandmother that looks tired and worn could shine again like it did the day she bought it, all for less than the cost of a cup of coffee. The wood did not die. It was waiting for someone to remember what the industry forced us to forget. If this vault made a difference for you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs it. Every share preserves what the industry tried to erase from public knowledge. And every like tells the algorithm that this information matters more than a commercial for branded wood stain. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside is even heavier than what you heard.